Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Small Boat Big Ocean TV. This week, we're trolling for stripers off the coast of New Jersey. Everybody, welcome back to Small Boat Big Ocean TV. This week we are again putting the Howie T in at Deep Creek Cove Marina in Manasquan, New Jersey. This week I'm again joined by my friend Pat Lowry of Fishing with Pat. And Pat had been out a couple days before and had reported a very good jig bite on keeper-sized stripers just outside of the inlet. Pat had told me that the birds were pretty much everywhere, and when we broke inlet it was very apparent that there was still a lot of bird activity within that 3-mile line. Particular day, it was nice because we had some people in our fishing network that were north of the inlet and then south between Seaside and Barnegat. So the first thing we did was touch base with them and see if there's a bite either north or south of where we were, and that would help us decide what our next move would be. Our network reported that there was a pretty good bite on the troll south, so we made a right out of the inlet, decided to set up on the troll with some mojos. 45 minutes of trolling and not having a knockdown or any other type of bite, we decided to pick up and follow the birds a little bit further south. I did get a call from a contact who was about 5 miles south of us, and he indicated that they had a really good jig bite going on, so we decided to head in that direction and look for fish on the finder. We ended up snagging some bumpers, so we decided to take a 2-prong attack. Pat would drop down a live bunker, and I would throw in an Ava jig and see what we could get off the bottom underneath this bait ball. Unfortunately, all the larger fish we saw under the bunker school turned out to be spiny dogfish, which, I regret to say, is going to be a repeating theme throughout the day.
Okay, he just got here before me. Yeah, we got three in the back. You gotta switch over to our little bit on.
Here we go.
Bass, I don't know. Doesn't feel like a bass.
Now, if you have fished the fall striper run off of New Jersey, you without a doubt have had a run-in with spiny dogfish. Unfortunately, it just comes with the territory when you're trying to drop bunker or jig up some stripers off the bottom. After about 6 dogfish, we decided this was not worth the effort, so we decided to pick up and move and see if we can't find something on the fish finder. Based on radio traffic and what we'd seen on the fish finder, it looked like the bite had switched over to the troll, so we decided to deploy the mojos and see what we could do. We did manage one knockdown, very light at that, but again, after about 45 minutes, no luck trolling.
Yep, we're over whatever it is.
Decided to mark this spot on the GPS because it was a very large school, and I wanted to see if we could stay with it as we had whales actively feeding not too far from us, which told me that we were in a pretty good spot.
I got it marked so we can go back over it. Look at this guy right here. Yep. He doesn't come up under us.
Unfortunately, all we found were more dogfish, so we decided to go back on the troll. I have to admit, at this point, we'd be on the water for almost 8 hours and have not had a knockdown with only catching spiny dogfish. And I got to tell you, our spirits were pretty low at this point. Out in front of the boat, a couple hundred yards, we found a couple of humpbacks actively feeding.
Big gulper.
Hope was that if we troll in the directions that the whales are feeding, maybe, just maybe, we'll run into a school of bass feeding in that area. If you've ever fished around whales, then you'll know what I'm talking about. As we got closer to the feeding area, things just felt fishy, if you know what I mean. And again, if you've fished around whales, you probably have experienced this type of feeling. Only a few moments later, we finally got our first knockdown of the day. After a super long day, and a disappointing one at that with all the spiny dogfish, we finally put a keeper in the boat. This fish measured out at 31 inches. After boating that fish, we continued pushing north towards the feeding whales, and I want to say not 5 minutes later, we had our second knockdown. clarify something at this point. The first fish was the 31. He was an under. And because he was so short, we decided to put him in the live well in case we did hook some bigger fish, we could let that fish go. And that's exactly what we did. After we caught the 34, we let the 31 swim, and he did swim away fine. We refreshed him for quite some time in the ocean water to make sure he was acclimated and everything was good, but he did swim away healthy. Also, one note I want to make is while I was changing batteries out on the camera, Pat did end up hooking a fish for himself. This guy was 37 inches, and as you can see, it was quite the hog. So we both finished the day with 1 under. As we got closer to dark, we both agreed it had been a long day, but a good day. And as it got dark, we decided to get everything tight and head back to Manasquan. So this is going to do it for Season 1 of Small Boat Big Ocean TV. We have a lot of growing to do yet, but I think the season was very successful. I really hope you did enjoy the show. We do have some good teasers for next year. We have a fully functional underwater camera that's going to roll out in a dredge. We've got a drone that we're going to be flying some overhead video. So hopefully you guys will tune in for next season. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this season. Hopefully you enjoyed all our fishing activity. And I wish you all the best of luck this off season, and I'll see you on the water next spring.